Black Ops 4 in 2022 is basically unbreakable. No, like seriously, please stop laughing at me. I'm being 100% honest here. And you know what? Just because you guys are laughing at me, I'm actually going to take this a step further and actually say it's one of the most stable modern games, period. I'm not even talking about just the Call of Duty franchise. There are people out there playing one single match of Black Ops 4 Zombies for multiple months at a time while clocking in 400 hours of game time without crashing once. Yeah, it really is that stable, so how could we have gotten here? Last time the most of you guys probably heard about it, Black Ops 4 was a crash-filled mess that became the biggest meme in zombies history. And for those uninitiated, you're going to have a fun time here, but you know what? We have to start at the beginning of this whole thing. Just like every other Call of Duty game that Treyarch's ever created, there was originally set to be a campaign, multiplayer, and zombies mode with something else small thrown in for the fans possibly. And that idea seems simple enough since they've done it a bunch of times already, right? Well, if there's a word stronger than no, it would definitely fit here. Because early on in development, the campaign was designed around a new 2v2 multiplayer battle mechanic, and of course because that's just fucking stupid, only 9 months away from launch that idea was scrapped. And the campaign was turned into a traditional single player story. This double sucks because the campaign takes up the bulk of the development cycle with most studio members working on that before splitting off into the smaller teams like zombies and multiplayer as it becomes closer to completion. Then because it couldn't get bad enough, Red Dead Redemption 2 is delayed from spring of 2018 to late October 2018, so some brain-dead Activision executive thought it would be a great idea to tell Treyarch that, hey, you guys need to launch before Red Dead. Fuck you, whoever made that decision. Seriously, that last month of development time is severely underrated and it actually makes a large difference on the final product. But Treyarch did finally catch a break because in early spring, studio members at Treyarch collectively came together and agreed that making a new campaign was just impossible, so they scrapped the mode entirely for this title. As is the theme though for this video, unluckily for them, it also meant that Black Ops 4 was now very light on content and something else needed to be made as soon as possible. That's where the idea of Blackout was actually birthed, and sure, it wouldn't take as many resources as a campaign did to complete, but creating a battle royale map is not easy and still requires a lot of work. For the next 6 months, people were dealing with 65 to 80 hour work weeks every single week just to catch up with what needed to be finished for launch. These employees literally did not have time to do anything other than making something, tossing it into the game, and praying to God that it worked the first time around. Don't get me wrong, the game should have flat out not released this way and is definitely unacceptable, but when Overlord Activision cracks the whip, they basically had no choice. Come launch day on October 12th, 2018, we all finally got to play Black Ops 4, but usually only for about an hour at a time before an error happened and your game crashed. Every single person here has probably watched NoJ456 slam his controller after a crash, or Mr. TLXFly get loud and scream when his game inevitably did the same thing. There are even wildly popular compilations of YouTubers getting mad because, oh, my game crashed, I was trying to do the Easter egg. These issues were so bad that no one was even able to reach around 100 on any maps for days after launch, simply because no matter what you did, the Crash Reaper was coming for you. The perfect example of this is how the classified main quest, where players needed to reach around 150 to get the cutscene, for over 3 weeks this went unsolved. And not for a lack of trying, but no players were even reaching past round 110 before crashing, so the community simply got fed up with waiting and decided to take some drastic measures. On November 5th, the Gaming Revolution and a few of his friends used a glitch to finish the main quest and unlock the last cutscene that we had yet to see in Black Ops 4. Sadly, TGR got a bunch of hate for this and death threats from it, but I mean, it was the only way to complete Classified. If it wasn't for him, this could have gone on for months longer than it did because no major stability patches were in sight, so they just did what needed to be done, like, truth be told. I know that's a very controversial opinion in this community, but I really think that they did nothing wrong there. There was no chance that anybody was going to finish it legitimately anytime soon, and it's still a pain in the ass to do today. I love Black Ops 4, but it was an absolute dumpster fire for the first few months months of its life. Players were either crashing constantly or having to play with an in-game filter called cartoon mode that would help you to crash slightly less often. Of course, using it came at the expense of your eyes because it's a glorified Borderlands overlay, but somehow it worked. As time went along though, and 2018 turned into 2019, things were gradually getting better, with main quests becoming more stable and high rounds having a bit more consistency. It still wasn't great, but things were improving by the time Dead of the Night released, with it not having too many notable incidents in the first few days when most of the people were playing the map. Ancient Evil was largely the same, and that's a kind of a good thing actually, especially for such a large and ambitious map. It's also the best map ever made, but that's for a different video. But then, sort of out of nowhere, in the spring of 2019, with no special announcements or fanfare of any kind, an update was released for Black Ops 4 that simply put made it stable for the first time ever. And admittedly, that's why I don't have a timescale on this, and it's so vague because I literally could not tell you which update changed all of this because it was so out of nowhere. Black Ops 4 went from being, you know what, sorta stable to basically being unbreakable overnight, and no one seemed to give a shit. Of course, when new maps would release like Alpha, Omega, and Tag Dare Toten, there would be a few rough patches here and there, but that happens on every single game. For all of the drama that it caused in the first few months of its existence, you would think that someone would notice and appreciate this, but no, apparently not, it seems. And with Treyarch's last major update for Black Ops 4 in Update 1.25, this was the final time stability would get any significant overhauling. But sadly, this update launched the day before Modern Warfare 2019 release, so most players probably never got around to testing it out. The damage had already been done by the time that they got around to making Black Ops 4 the way it should have been in the first place, but you know what, that's honestly a shame. Skip forward to 2022 and Black Ops 4 is almost unrecognizable from the way that it launched. Recently, a match of Ancient Evil was completed by a player named White_Reggie that took roughly 3 weeks to complete. It also lasted for 407 hours of playtime and is the new highest round on any Black Ops 4 map. So, you know what, just for the sake of it, let's break it down. Firstly, you'll probably notice that the round number looks a little bit messed up, and that's because on Black Ops 4, the round counter does pretty much the same thing as in Cold War Zombies. Once round 255 is completed, on round 256, the counter is invisible and then reappears on round 257. You'll see in-game that it appears as round 1, but that's just a visual bug and will continue to count up as normal again. To combat that, players will just add their own overlay next to the round, with it either saying plus 256 or plus 512, just so that anyone watching the games knows what round they're actually on. Funnily enough, at some point this was actually fixed along with raising the round cap to 1024, but this was reverted again for whatever reason. You're also no longer forced to use cartoon mode, thankfully, but I have noticed something a little bit strange about this game. The 3 highest rounds in all of Black Ops 4 have all been done on hardcore mode, where players have less health and zombies have more health. Sounds stupid to high round on there because zombies in Black Ops 4 normally stop gaining health at round 35, or at least it seems dumb until I tell you that because of the zombies' increased health in hardcore, an old friend appears on high rounds called insta-kill rounds. The shortest possible explanation I can give you is that in older games they're coded in 32-bit, which gives every single thing in the game a hard limit of 2.147 billion. When playing extremely high round games, the zombie health formula attempts to go over that number and wraps around to become negative. From there, the game freaks out and resets all the zombies back to their round 1 health, thus creating entire rounds where zombies have round 1 health despite you being somewhere in, like, let's say the 200s or the 300s. Black Ops 3 had patched this issue, and so does normal play in Black Ops 4, but I guess Treyarch didn't account for hardcore mode somehow. As a result of this oversight, hardcore mode is faster for high rounds and allows for crazy shit like this to happen. These games still take absolutely forever, by the way, with you needing to kill 3,750,000 zombies up to round 500. But these insta-kill rounds save a chunk of time added up over the whole game. Also, no, by the way, Reggie's not glitching, this is just a really broken ass strategy on Ancient Evil. That's some crazy shit, right? You would have never ever thought that that was possible in of Black Ops 4, but you know what? I've got one other thing to show you. You might not believe me that this game is really truly stable, but just listen. If you were in a game of zombies for 25 actual days, whether you're playing the entire time, you're paused, it doesn't matter, but after 25 days of someone being in a game of Black Ops 4, suddenly, yep, the screen goes black. That doesn't mean it's crashed, however. In fact, it's actually still running perfectly fine in the background, except for the black screen. If you're not prepared when this happens, then of course you'll take it down and possibly game over, but if you actually pause your game and come back another 25 days later, then suddenly, yep, your game comes back to life. And it can be played as if nothing had happened in the first place. On a technical level, I have no clue why the fuck this occurs, but honestly, I'm a big fan of it. And Reggie's match isn't just an isolated thing either, with Dead of the Night and Blood of the Dead also having records over round 400 that take multiple hundreds of hours to finish as well. Dead of the Night last that I knew was around 420 with 182 hours of gameplay, and Blood of the Dead is around 468 with roughly 200 hours of gameplay. Somehow Black Ops 4 went from being fundamentally broken as shit on launch to becoming the most stable Call of Duty game ever made through its life cycle. It's even become so powerful that it can break and then fix itself mid-game. What a fucking giga-chad of a game. There is still, however, an issue where if you enter the black market on the PC version of this game, it crashes every single time that you open it, and it has for months now. Activision's actually been told about this issue, but they're kind of just choosing to ignore it right now. So yeah, that's the story of Black Ops 4 and how insanely stable it is. From only being able to play like an hour at a time on launch day to being able to play for multiple months and hundreds of hours at a time by the end of its life. What a turnaround, what a story. It's such a shame that more people don't just never gave it a shot after it was broken. It really is such a shame because some of the maps are really good. But you know what, that's it for today. If you want to watch some more of what I've done, I've got some retrospective videos on Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and a couple other ones. Go check them out, they're on screen right now. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, love you, bye.